The Zambezi River is one of the greatest rivers on our planet, a colossal artery of water that breathes life into the very heart of Africa. Stretching for thousands of kilometers, it is the fourth longest river on the continent, carving a path through wild, untamed landscapes and shaping the destiny of everything it touches. From its humble beginnings as a small crystal-clear spring in the highlands of Zambia, the Zambezi gathers strength, fed by countless tributaries and seasonal rains. As it grows, it becomes a lifeline for an astonishing array of wildlife. The river's banks are lush and green, nourished by the constant flow, and they provide sanctuary for countless species. Herds of elephants, the largest land mammals on Earth, gather at the water's edge, their trunks reaching deep into the cool river. Hippos wallow in the shallows, their massive bodies almost completely submerged, while crocodiles lurk motionless just beneath the surface, their ancient eyes watching for any sign of movement. The Zambezi is a haven for antelope, buffalo, and a dazzling variety of birds, from the regal fish eagle to the vibrant bee-eater. The river's edge is a stage for the great drama of survival. Elephants flap their ears to cool themselves in the heat, while crocodiles wait with infinite patience for the perfect moment to strike. Hippos grunt and bellow, marking their territory, and lions prowl the shadows, ever alert for prey. Overhead, the haunting call of the fish eagle echoes, a symbol of the wild freedom that defines this place. The Zambezi's ecological importance cannot be overstated. Its waters sustain vast floodplains and wetlands, which in turn support some of the richest biodiversity on the continent. These wetlands are nurseries for fish, amphibians, and insects, and they provide feeding grounds for migratory birds that travel thousands of kilometers to reach this sanctuary. The river's basin is immense, draining a region larger than many European countries combined. As the Zambezi winds its way through this vast landscape, it transforms from gentle, meandering stretches to wild, churning rapids. Each section of the river creates unique habitats, supporting different communities of plants and animals. One of the river's most spectacular features is Victoria Falls, a thundering curtain of water that plunges into a deep gorge, sending mist and spray high into the air. The ground trembles for miles around, and the roar of the falls can be heard long before it comes into view. This natural wonder is a magnet for wildlife, drawn by the constant supply of water and the lush vegetation that thrives in the spray zone. The Zambezi's rhythm is set by the seasons. During the long, harsh, dry season, the land bakes under the relentless sun, and the river shrinks, leaving behind cracked earth and isolated pools. Animals must travel great distances to reach the remaining water, and competition for resources becomes fierce. Then, as the rains return, the landscape is transformed. Thunderstorms roll across the plains, and the river swells with new life. Brown, dusty earth gives way to a vibrant carpet of green, and the floodplains fill, creating temporary wetlands teeming with birds, amphibians, and insects. This annual cycle of flood and drought is the engine that drives the entire ecosystem. It dictates when plants grow, when animals migrate, and when the river reveals its true power. The wetlands become a haven for breeding birds, and fish populations explode, providing food for predators up and down the food chain. The Zambezi is a living, breathing system, a place where predator and prey are locked in an ancient dance of survival. Every bend in the river, every patch of reeds, every sandbank is alive with the sounds and sights of wild Africa. To follow the Zambezi is to witness the raw beauty and power of nature, a journey through one of the world's last great wildernesses. Join me as we explore this magnificent river, a wild journey through Africa's heart, where every drop of water, every blade of grass, and every animal is part of a vast, interconnected web of life. Our journey begins in the far reaches of northwestern Zambia, in the region of Mwinilunga, where the landscape is a tapestry of rolling hills, dense woodlands, and sprawling wetlands. Here, the Upper Zambezi is born at an altitude of over 1,500 meters. in a place where the air is cool and the earth is lush with life. The river's origin is humble, a small crystal-clear spring bubbling up from the saturated ground, surrounded by a mosaic of sedges, reeds, and water-loving grasses. The wetland is alive with the gentle hum of insects and the calls of hidden frogs, a cradle of biodiversity that nurtures the Zambezi's first trickle. This tranquil beginning belies the immense power the river will one day wield. The water meanders quietly through a patchwork of emerald vegetation, its banks lined with papyrus and wildflowers, while dragonflies dart above the surface and tiny fish explore the shallows. As the Upper Zambezi gathers momentum, it winds its way through vast Mayombo woodlands, forests dominated by Brachystegia and Julbernardia trees. These woodlands are home to a rich undergrowth of shrubs, wild orchids and ferns, creating a layered habitat teeming with life. The river's gentle flow is joined by countless small tributaries, each bringing fresh water and nutrients from the surrounding highlands. Along the banks, lush grasses and wildflowers thrive, providing food and shelter for a variety of creatures. For nearly 1,000 kilometers, the Upper Zambezi carves its way through the landscape, crossing into Angola before looping back toward Zambia. The river's path is marked by shifting channels, sandbanks, and oxbow lakes, each a microcosm of aquatic life. One of the river's most remarkable features is the Barotse floodplain, a vast, flat expanse that stretches for over 240 kilometers. This floodplain is a dynamic ecosystem, shaped by the seasonal rise and fall of the Zambezi's waters. During the dry season, the floodplain is a golden sea of grasses, dotted with islands of acacia and sausage trees. Herds of antelope and other grazers roam the open spaces, while birds of prey circle overhead, scanning for movement below. As the rains arrive, the Zambezi overflows its banks, transforming the floodplain into a shimmering inland sea. Water spreads across the landscape, submerging grasses and creating a labyrinth of channels, lagoons, and temporary lakes. This seasonal inundation is vital for the ecosystem. The floodwaters deposit rich silt and nutrients, rejuvenating the soil and fueling a burst of plant growth as the waters recede. Aquatic plants flourish, and the floodplain becomes a lush green paradise. The receding waters leave behind fertile mud flats where grasses and sedges quickly take root. These nutrient-rich soils support a dazzling array of plant life, from wild rice to water lilies, and provide grazing for countless herbivores. The floodplain teems with wildlife. Large herds of lechwe and puku antelope graze on the fresh grasses, while warthogs root in the soft earth. The abundance of food draws predators such as lions and wild dogs, creating a vibrant web of life. The flooded plains are a haven for birds. Flocks of herons, storks, and egrets descend to feed on fish and amphibians. The shallow, nutrient-rich waters become nurseries for young fish, frogs, and aquatic insects, supporting a complex food chain. Beyond the floodplain, the woodlands and grasslands of the Upper Zambezi are home to some of Africa's most iconic animals. Herds of sable antelope move gracefully through the tall grasses, their dark coats gleaming in the sunlight. The sable antelope is renowned for its striking appearance. Sleek, muscular bodies, glossy black fur in males, and elegant chestnut coats in females and young. Their coats shimmer in the dappled light of the woodlands, providing camouflage among the shadows and tall grasses. Both males and females possess long scimitar-shaped horns, but the males can reach over 1.5 meters in length, formidable weapons for defense against predators. Males often spar with their horns, establishing dominance within the herd and protecting their families from threats like lions and hyenas. Sable antelope live in small, close-knit family groups, usually led by a dominant male who guides the herd through the shifting landscape in search of the best grazing. They are perfectly adapted to the seasonal rhythms of the floodplain, feeding on the tender grasses that flourish after the floods and retreating to higher ground as the waters rise. At dawn, the sight of a sable antelope herd standing in the golden light, mist rising from the grass, is a vision of wild Africa at its most enchanting. The Upper Zambezi is also a lifeline for the African bush elephant, the largest land animal on Earth. These gentle giants roam the riverbanks, feeding on reeds, bark, and the leaves of towering trees. Elephants require vast amounts of water and vegetation, and the river's presence is essential for their survival. They use their trunks to drink, to bathe, and to communicate with one another, leaving deep footprints in the soft mud. During the dry season, elephants travel great distances to reach the Zambezi's life-giving waters. Here they bathe, play, and cool off, spraying water over their thick, wrinkled skin to protect themselves from the sun and biting insects. An adult elephant can drink over 200 liters of water in a single day, drawing it up with their powerful trunks and savoring the cool relief. Elephant herds are led by wise matriarchs, older females who remember the locations of water and food, guiding their families safely through the ever-changing landscape. The elephant's endless migration follows the rhythm of the rains and the growth of fresh vegetation, with the Zambezi River serving as a vital corridor through the heart of Africa's wilderness. Here in the Upper Zambezi, the intricate dance of water, land, and life unfolds in one of the continent's most extraordinary natural theatres. For over 1,000 kilometers, the Zambezi River meanders serenely across the African landscape, its waters weaving through floodplains and woodlands, nourishing a vast array of life along its banks. But as it approaches the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, the river's tranquil journey is abruptly transformed by a dramatic geological event. Here the Zambezi encounters a band of ancient basalt rock, a remnant of volcanic activity that occurred over 180 million years ago. Over countless millennia, the relentless force of the river has exploited cracks and faults in this hard volcanic plateau, gradually eroding deep channels and carving out a chasm that would become one of the world's greatest natural wonders, Victoria Falls. As the river reaches the edge of this basalt barrier, it plunges headlong into a narrow, zigzagging gorge, sending a colossal plume of mist skyward. This perpetual spray, visible from over 50 kilometers away, is what inspired the name Mosi Watunya, the smoke that thunders. The hydrology of Victoria Falls is a marvel in itself. At the height of the rainy season, more than 500 million cubic meters of water cascade over the precipice every minute, creating a thunderous roar that reverberates across the landscape and can be heard from 40 kilometers away. The falls stretch for more than 1,700 meters in width, forming the largest continuous curtain of falling water on Earth. The river drops as much as 108 meters into the chasm below, nearly twice the height of Niagara Falls, and the sheer volume and velocity of the water create a spectacle of raw, untamed power. From above, the falls appear as a vast, shimmering ribbon, their edge broken only by small islands that split the flow into multiple channels. The water crashes down in a single, unbroken sheet, its force carving out the deep, zigzagging gorges that mark the river's ancient path. The geological story of Victoria Falls is written in these gorges. Each chasm represents a former position of the waterfall, as the relentless erosion of the basalt has caused the falls to retreat upstream over thousands of years, leaving behind a series of steep-sided canyons that snake away from the current drop. The river's immense energy is focused into this narrow gorge, where the water churns and foams, sculpting the rock and deepening the chasm with every passing year. The falls are a living, evolving monument to the power of water and time. The comparison to Niagara Falls is striking. Victoria Falls is almost twice as high, and its width and volume during peak flow dwarf most other waterfalls on the planet. During the rainy season, the Zambezi swells with floodwaters from distant highlands, transforming the falls into a roaring torrent. The spray rises hundreds of meters into the air, nourishing a unique ecosystem that thrives in the perpetual mist. The gorges below the falls are a testament to the river's erosive power. Over time, the falls have retreated upstream, leaving behind a series of deep, winding canyons that trace the river's ancient course. The constant spray from the falls has created a rare and vibrant rainforest on the cliffs opposite the cascade. Here, the air is thick with moisture and the vegetation is lush and verdant even during the dry season. Ferns, palms, and towering fig trees thrive in this microclimate, their leaves glistening with droplets from the ever-present mist. This unique ecosystem supports a remarkable diversity of life. The rainforest is alive with the calls of birds, the flutter of butterflies, and the rustle of small mammals moving through the undergrowth. The falls and their surrounding habitats are a sanctuary for countless species, many of which are found nowhere else in the region. Above the falls, the skies are patrolled by the majestic battler eagle, a master of the air that soars effortlessly on the rising thermals created by the churning water below. These eagles spend hours gliding above the gorge, their keen eyesight scanning the landscape for prey. Their acrobatic flight, tilting and balancing on the wind, is a testament to their adaptation to this dramatic environment. The battlur's distinctive silhouette, with its short tail and broad wings, is a familiar sight above the falls, where it hunts for snakes, small mammals, and carrion. With a territory that can span up to 200 square kilometers, the battler eagle is perfectly suited to the vast open skies and rugged terrain surrounding Victoria Falls. Their extraordinary vision allows them to spot the slightest movement far below, making them formidable hunters in this dynamic ecosystem. Along the riverbanks and rocky outcrops, the great cormorant is another specialist of this watery world. Built for aquatic life, cormorants are expert divers, plunging beneath the surface to pursue fish with remarkable agility. Their feathers, unlike those of many other water birds, are only partially waterproof. This adaptation reduces their buoyancy, allowing them to dive deeper and remain submerged for longer periods. Cormorants can stay underwater for up to 3 minutes, chasing fish through the swirling currents at the base of the falls. After a successful hunt, they emerge from the river, their feathers soaked, and seek out a sunny perch to dry their wings. This iconic pose, wings outstretched to the sun, is a familiar sight along the river's edge, a testament to the cormorant's adaptation to life in this ever-changing environment. Victoria Falls is more than just a breathtaking spectacle. It is a living, evolving boundary, where geology, hydrology, and ecology converge to create one of the most extraordinary environments on Earth. Here, the calm waters of the Upper Zambezi are forever separated from the wild, untamed gorges of the Middle Zambezi, marking a dramatic transition in the river's epic journey through Africa's heart. After plunging over the thunderous curtain of Victoria Falls, the Zambezi River transforms, carving its way into a realm of untamed wilderness. Here the river's character changes dramatically. The water, once a roaring cascade, now twists and turns through a labyrinth of deep, ancient gorges, their walls rising steep and sheer, sculpted by millennia of relentless flow. The riverbed narrows and widens in rhythm, creating a dynamic landscape of swirling eddies, tranquil pools, and surging rapids. The Middle Zambezi stretches for about 650 kilometers, its course defined by dramatic contrasts. Towering cliffs give way to broad, sun-drenched valleys, and the river's surface alternates between glassy calm and churning whitewater. Along this stretch, the Zambezi forms a natural boundary between Zambia and Zimbabwe, its waters nourishing a mosaic of habitats. Vast floodplains unfurl on either side, dotted with oxbow lakes and ephemeral channels that fill and empty with the river's seasonal pulse. Dense riverine forests line the banks, their canopies alive with birdsong and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. The river's annual flood cycle is the heartbeat of this ecosystem, swelling with the rains and receding in the dry months, shaping the land and dictating the rhythms of life for countless species. The Middle Zambezi is a vital corridor for animal migrations. As the floodwaters rise, herds of elephants traverse the shallows, their massive forms silhouetted against the dawn as they move between feeding grounds. Hippos wallow in the deeper pools, their eyes and nostrils just above the surface, while crocodiles, ancient and patient, bask on sunlit sandbanks or glide silently beneath the water, masters of stealth and ambush. On the fertile banks, immense herds of African buffalo graze, their movements synchronized as they follow the green flush of new grass brought by the river's rise. During the dry season, the receding waters expose rich grazing grounds, drawing in wildebeest, zebra and impala. These animals undertake seasonal migrations, moving in great numbers across the floodplains in search of food and water. Their presence attracts a host of predators, and the air is often filled with the calls of water birds, storks, herons and egrets, drawn to the abundance of fish and amphibians left in shrinking pools. The Nile crocodile reigns supreme in these waters. Perfectly adapted for ambush, they can remain motionless for hours, their bodies hidden beneath the surface with only their eyes and nostrils betraying their presence. When prey approaches, their explosive power is unleashed in a flash, their jaws delivering one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. Some males grow to over 5 meters in length and weigh nearly a ton, true giants of the river. On land, the African buffalo is a force to be reckoned with. These formidable animals gather in huge herds, their numbers providing safety and unity. When danger threatens, the herd forms a living fortress, adults encircling the vulnerable calves. Their horns, especially the fused, armored bosses of older males, presented as a formidable barrier to any would-be predator. Their strength and courage are legendary, and they are known to stand their ground even against lions. The buffalo's resilience and unity are a testament to the harsh realities of life along the Middle Zambezi, where survival depends on both strength and cooperation. As dusk falls, their silhouettes stand tall against the setting sun, embodying the spirit of Africa's wild heart. Among the most captivating predators here are the African wild dogs, or painted dogs, instantly recognizable by their patchwork coats of black, yellow and white. These highly social animals live and hunt in tightly knit packs, their movements coordinated and efficient. Wild dogs are among Africa's most successful hunters, with a remarkable success rate of around 80%. Their hunts are a spectacle of teamwork, with the alpha pair leading the charge and the entire pack working together to outmaneuver and exhaust their prey. Their social bonds are strong and cooperative. After a successful hunt, the pack shares food, ensuring even the youngest and weakest are fed. Pups are cared for by all members, and play is an essential part of their daily life, strengthening the ties that hold the pack together. Sadly, these remarkable animals are highly endangered, their survival dependent on the vast protected wilderness of the Middle Zambezi. Here, in the embrace of mana pools and the lower Zambezi, they find sanctuary, a rare refuge where the ancient rhythms of migration, predation and survival continue, undisturbed by the outside world. The Middle Zambezi is a living tapestry woven from water, earth, and the endless movement of life. Its landscapes are shaped by the river's eternal flow, its floodplains and forests sustained by the seasonal rise and fall of the waters. Here the wild heart of Africa beats strong, a sanctuary for some of the continent's most iconic and endangered creatures, a place where nature's drama unfolds day after day in breathtaking detail. As the Zambezi carves its way through the heart of southern Africa, its wild, free-flowing waters are dramatically transformed by 2 immense man-made lakes. These vast reservoirs, Kariba and Cahora Bassa, interrupt the river's ancient rhythm, creating entirely new worlds of water, shoreline and life. Lake Kariba, straddling the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, is a colossal expanse of shimmering blue. Its surface stretches for over 220 kilometers, and at its widest, the lake spans 40 kilometers across. Beneath the tranquil surface, the valley that once teemed with terrestrial life now lies submerged, its forests and grasslands replaced by a watery wilderness. The creation of Kariba flooded a vast landscape, transforming dry valleys into a labyrinth of inlets, islands, and drowned forests. The skeletal remains of ancient trees still rise eerily from the water, their branches providing perches for birds and shelter for aquatic creatures. Along the new shorelines, lush vegetation has taken root, forming a mosaic of habitats where land and water meet. The lake's ecosystem is a tapestry of adaptation. Fish species, both native and introduced, thrive in the clear, nutrient-rich waters. Schools of Kapenta, a small sardine-like fish, dart through the shallows, forming the foundation of a complex food web. Larger predatory fish, such as tigerfish and catfish, patrol the deeper waters, their presence a testament to the lake's rich biodiversity. Above the water, Lake Kariba is a sanctuary for birds. The African fish eagle, with its striking white head and powerful wings, is the undisputed monarch of these skies. Perched atop the dead trees or soaring high above the lake, these raptors scan the surface for the slightest ripple of movement. Their haunting, echoing calls ring out at dawn and dusk, a sound so evocative it is often called the very voice of Africa. When a fish eagle spots its prey, it launches into a breathtaking dive, talons outstretched, snatching fish from the water with astonishing precision. These birds are not only skilled hunters, but also opportunists, sometimes stealing catches from herons or storks in midair. The abundance of fish in Kariba has allowed their numbers to flourish, making the lake one of the best places in Africa to witness their dramatic hunts. Beneath the surface, the aquatic world is equally vibrant. Dense shoals of fish weave through submerged branches, while crustaceans and mollusks colonize the lakebed. The flooded forests provide shelter for juvenile fish and a hunting ground for aquatic predators, creating a dynamic, ever-changing ecosystem. Yet the impact of Kariba extends far beyond its shores. The dam has altered the river's natural flow, trapping sediment that once nourished downstream habitats and regulating floods that shaped the floodplains. These changes ripple through the ecosystem, affecting everything from plant growth to the migration patterns of animals. Downstream, the Zambezi is halted once more by the vast wall of Cahora Bassa in Mozambique. This immense reservoir, though smaller than Kariba by volume, is still a formidable body of water stretching for over 250 kilometers. Its deep, still waters fill a rugged gorge, creating a landscape of steep cliffs, hidden coves, and tranquil bays. The environment around Cahora Bassa is a study in contrasts. Along the lake's edge, dense stands of reeds and papyrus provide shelter for countless aquatic species. The water is alive with fish, bream, catfish, and tilapia, while the shallows teem with invertebrates and amphibians. The lake's clear, sunlit waters support a thriving community of plankton, the invisible engine that drives the entire food chain. The transformation of the river by Cahora Bassa has profound ecological consequences. The dam traps sediment, starving downstream wetlands and estuaries of vital nutrients. Seasonal floods, once a predictable pulse of life, are now controlled and diminished, altering the rhythms of plant growth and animal migrations along the lower Zambezi. Despite these changes, Cahora Bassa remains a haven for wildlife. Its waters are home to one of Africa's most iconic and formidable animals, the hippopotamus. These massive herbivores spend their days submerged in the cool, still waters, their sensitive skin protected from the harsh sun. At dusk, they emerge to graze on the lush grasses that line the shore, their movements shaping the landscape as they feed. Hippos are surprisingly agile in the water, gliding gracefully beneath the surface, their nostrils and eyes just breaking the calm. Social by nature, they gather in large groups, their interactions a complex dance of dominance and alliance. The lake's abundant vegetation and stable water levels support a thriving population, making Cahora Bassa one of the continent's great hippo strongholds. Yet the presence of hippos is a reminder of the delicate balance between land and water. Fiercely territorial, they defend their stretches of shoreline with astonishing aggression. Their massive jaws and sharp tusks are a formidable deterrent to any intruder. Their nightly grazing shapes the vegetation, while their movements stir up the lake bed, influencing the aquatic environment in subtle but significant ways. The story of Kariba and Cahora Bassa is one of transformation, of landscapes drowned and reborn, of species adapting to new worlds, and of ecosystems forever changed by the hand of humanity. These great lakes are both a testament to nature's resilience and a reminder of the profound impact we have on the wild heart of Africa. For countless generations, the Zambezi River has been more than just a feature of the landscape. It is the lifeblood of a vast and intricate web of wildlife and ecosystems. From the highlands of Zambia to the coast of Mozambique, the river shapes the land, carving out lush floodplains, dense forests, and expansive wetlands that teem with life. The river's moods, gentle and meandering in the dry season, wild and overflowing during the rains, dictate the rhythm of life for countless species. The Zambezi provides everything needed for survival: water to drink, food to eat, and shelter for animals of every kind. It is a source of nourishment, a place to bathe and cool off, and a vital corridor for migration, connecting habitats that would otherwise be isolated by the dense African bush. The bond between the river and the wildlife is ancient and deep, woven into the very fabric of the ecosystem. The river is a haven for birds, from the majestic African fish eagle to the vibrant kingfisher, all relying on its waters for food and nesting grounds. Beneath the surface, the Zambezi teems with life. Fish such as tilapia and the fierce tigerfish thrive in its currents, forming the foundation of the aquatic food chain. Predators like crocodiles and hippos patrol the river, perfectly adapted to its ever-changing depths and channels. Smaller creatures such as otters and monitor lizards make their homes along the banks, hunting and foraging in the rich mud and reeds. The riverbanks themselves are alive, with bee-eaters tunneling into sandy cliffs and weaver birds weaving intricate nests in the trees that lean over the water. When the river floods, it spills out onto the plains, creating a mosaic of wetlands and grasslands that attract herds of zebra, wildebeest, and antelope. The floodwaters bring new life, nourishing the soil and allowing plants to flourish, which in turn supports large herbivores like elephants and buffalo. In places like the Barotse floodplain and the Zambezi Delta, the seasonal rise and fall of the river creates some of Africa's richest habitats, supporting an astonishing diversity of species. As the floodwaters retreat, they leave behind a layer of rich, fertile silt, sparking a burst of new plant growth that feeds insects, birds, and mammals alike. The river's edge becomes a stage for countless small dramas: dragonflies darting above the water, frogs calling from the reeds, and butterflies feeding on blooming flowers. Aquatic plants like papyrus and reeds filter the water, provide shelter for young fish, and stabilize the riverbanks against erosion. The river draws animals from miles around, offering a vital source of water in the dry season and a place to graze and browse when food is scarce elsewhere. Life along the Zambezi is not without its challenges. The river's power can be both a blessing and a threat. The same animals that make the river so wild and vibrant can also be dangerous to one another, as predators and prey meet at the water's edge. Crocodiles ambush fish and unwary animals, hippos defend their territories fiercely, and birds scatter at the slightest sign of danger. Elephants and antelope must navigate the river's shifting channels and sudden floods, always alert to the dangers that lurk beneath the surface. Every creature that comes to the Zambezi must learn to live with its challenges, developing instincts and behaviors that help them survive in this dynamic environment. The Zambezi is a place of constant change and renewal, where the cycles of water and life are forever intertwined, and where the wild heart of Africa beats strongest. As the Zambezi River leaves the vast expanse of Cahora Bassa, it enters its final and most intricate stage, the lower Zambezi Delta. Here the river unfurls across the heart of Mozambique, transforming into a sprawling network of channels, lagoons, and wetlands that stretch for over 900 kilometers. The river's flow slows and spreads, carving a wide flat plain that becomes a living tapestry of water and land. This immense delta is a mosaic of habitats: flooded grasslands, papyrus swamps, reed beds, and seasonally inundated forests, each supporting a dazzling array of life. In the past, the lower Zambezi was shaped by powerful annual floods. Each rainy season, the river would burst its banks, sending nutrient-rich waters across the floodplain. These floods created vast, marshy wetlands, nourishing the soil and triggering an explosion of life. Millions of fish would spawn, aquatic plants would flourish, and the air would fill with the calls of countless birds. Today, the great dams at Kariba and Cahora, Bassa, have altered these natural rhythms. The river's flow is now regulated, and the once mighty floods are smaller and less predictable. The delta's wetlands still pulse with life, but the cycles of flood and drought have changed, affecting the delicate balance of this ecosystem. Even so, the lower Zambezi Delta remains one of Africa's richest and wildest places. Its wetlands are a sanctuary for a spectacular diversity of wildlife, from the smallest insects to the largest mammals. The landscape is a labyrinth of broad, meandering channels, sandy islands, and lush riverine forests. Dense stands of acacia and mahogany line the banks, their roots anchoring the soil and providing shelter for countless creatures. This world of water and green is a stark contrast to the deep, rocky gorges of the river's middle reaches. Here the Zambezi slows, its current gentle, as it prepares for its final meeting with the sea. The river's slow pace allows sediments to settle, building up fertile soils that support dense vegetation and a web of life. The delta teems with wildlife. Herds of elephants wade through the shallows, their trunks raised above the water. Hippos wallow in the muddy lagoons, while crocodiles bask on sunlit banks. The air is alive with the calls of fish-eagles, herons, and kingfishers, and the reeds rustle with the movement of secretive antelope and warthogs. Among the most common reptiles here is the Nile monitor lizard, a formidable predator and scavenger. These are Africa's largest lizards, sometimes growing to over 2 meters long. Their muscular bodies and sharp claws make them expert hunters. Nile monitors are superb swimmers, gliding effortlessly through the water, and agile climbers scaling trees in search of eggs, birds, and small mammals. Their diet is varied. They will eat almost anything they can catch or scavenge. They are especially notorious for raiding crocodile nests, often working together with remarkable cunning. One lizard distracts the mother crocodile, while the other steals the precious eggs. Deep within the dense forests along the riverbanks, the elusive leopard prowls. This magnificent predator is a master of stealth, rarely seen but always present. With its spotted coat, the leopard blends perfectly into the dappled light and shadow of the forest, waiting patiently for the right moment to strike. The lower Zambezi supports a thriving population of these big cats, thanks to the abundance of prey and the shelter provided by the thick vegetation. Leopards are incredibly strong, able to haul prey twice their own weight high into the branches, safe from scavengers. This remarkable feat keeps their hard-won meals out of reach of lions and hyenas that roam the floodplain below. To glimpse a leopard here is to witness the secretive heart of the African wilderness, a fleeting moment of wild beauty. At last, after its long journey, the Zambezi nears its end. The river widens, its waters shimmering in the golden light as it approaches the Indian Ocean. The river empties into a vast delta, where fresh water meets the salty tides of the sea, creating a dynamic and ever-changing environment. Here, mangrove forests thrive, their tangled roots anchoring the shoreline and providing shelter for fish, crabs, and countless other creatures. The wetlands are a patchwork of brackish pools and tidal creeks, rich in nutrients and life. The delta is a vital nursery for fish and crustaceans and a crucial stopover for migratory birds that travel thousands of kilometers along ancient flyways. Flocks of pelicans, storks and waders gather here, feeding and resting before continuing their journeys. From its humble beginnings as a spring in the Zambian highlands to this vast, life-filled delta on the Mozambique coast, the Zambezi's journey is a story of water, wilderness, and the endless cycles of nature, an epic river that has shaped the land and sustained life for countless generations. The Zambezi River, a lifeline winding through the heart of Africa, is a place of breathtaking beauty and astonishing biodiversity. Yet beneath its tranquil surface, the river and its wild inhabitants are facing a cascade of modern environmental challenges that threaten to unravel the delicate web of life that has flourished here for millennia. One of the most pressing threats is the intensification of droughts. In recent years, the Zambezi Basin has experienced prolonged periods of dryness, leaving once lush floodplains cracked and barren. Climate change is amplifying these extremes, bringing erratic rainfall, searing heat waves, and unpredictable weather patterns. The river's seasonal rhythms, once reliable, are now increasingly disrupted. The El Niño event of 2023 to 2024 stands as a stark example, delivering one of the most severe droughts in over a decade. Water levels plummeted, exposing sandbanks and stranding aquatic life. The river's catchment area received far less rainfall than normal, causing lakes and tributaries to shrink dramatically. Fish populations dwindled, and the once thriving wetlands became ghostly remnants of their former selves. As the river contracts, wildlife is forced to travel greater distances in search of water and food. Elephants, antelope, and countless other species gather at shrinking pools, their survival hanging in the balance as resources become scarce. Predators and prey alike are drawn into closer quarters, increasing competition and stress. Hippos crowd into shrinking pools, while lions and other carnivores must adapt to the changing landscape or risk starvation. Alongside drought, illegal hunting and poaching cast a long shadow over the Zambezi's wildlife. Traps and snares left hidden in the bush threaten not only the iconic species but also the lesser-known creatures that call this river home. Elephants, with their magnificent ivory tusks, are relentlessly targeted. Herds are fractured, and the loss of even a few individuals can have devastating effects on the social structure and genetic diversity of these gentle giants. Rhinos, though rare in the region, are not spared. Their horns, coveted on the black market, make them perpetual targets, pushing them ever closer to the brink of local extinction. The threat extends beyond the giants. Sable antelope, wild dogs, and even small mammals are caught in the crossfire, their populations declining as poaching and habitat loss take their toll. The demand for bushmeat and animal skins further depletes the region's biodiversity, removing key species from the ecosystem and disrupting the natural balance. Scavengers, such as vultures and hyenas, are left to pick over the remains, their own survival threatened as the food chain is weakened from the bottom up. Habitat loss is another insidious challenge. As the river's flow diminishes and the land dries, invasive plant species encroach on open savannas, crowding out native grasses and altering the landscape. The construction of massive dams such as Kariba and Cahora Bassa has fundamentally changed the river's natural cycles. While these structures provide hydroelectric power, they also disrupt the seasonal floods that once nourished the floodplains. Downstream, the river's reduced flow leaves floodplains dry and lifeless. Aquatic habitats shrink and the intricate web of life that depends on seasonal inundation is left in jeopardy. In the past, annual floods carried nutrient-rich sediment to the delta, feeding lush mangrove forests and supporting a vibrant array of life. Now, without these floods, the delta is shrinking. Mangroves wither, and the once fertile land becomes barren, unable to support the diversity of species that once thrived there. Aquatic life is especially vulnerable. Crocodiles and fish are stranded in isolated pools, their habitats fragmented and their populations at risk of collapse. The combined pressures of drought, poaching, habitat loss and altered river flows are pushing the Zambezi's ecosystems to the brink. The balance that has sustained life here for generations is now dangerously fragile. The river, once a symbol of abundance and resilience, now moves sluggishly through a landscape marked by stress and scarcity. The animals that have roamed its banks for thousands of years, elephants, buffalo, crocodiles, are locked in a struggle for survival, their future uncertain. Even the skies are quieter as bird populations decline and the chorus of life along the river grows fainter. The mighty Zambezi stands at a crossroads. Its fate, and the fate of the countless wild creatures that depend on it, hangs in the balance. Only by understanding and addressing these modern environmental challenges can we hope to preserve this great river and its wild heart for generations to come. As the first light of dawn spills across the Zambezi River, it illuminates not just the water's surface, but the promise of a renewed future for this extraordinary ecosystem. The Zambezi, with its winding channels, lush floodplains and ancient forests, stands at a crossroads, facing immense challenges, yet brimming with hope for restoration and resilience. Across its vast length, the river's wildlife, herds of elephants, pods of hippos and elusive leopards, depend on the health of its waters and the integrity of its habitats. The future of the Zambezi is inseparable from the fate of these creatures, whose survival is a testament to the river's vitality. Conservation efforts are now focused on creating and maintaining safe havens, vast, undisturbed sanctuaries where animals can roam freely, breed and thrive without the constant threat of poaching or habitat loss. The vision for the Zambezi's future is one of connectivity, linking protected areas along the river's course so that wildlife can migrate naturally, following ancient routes that cross borders and ecosystems. This landscape-scale approach is essential for the survival of wide-ranging species and the restoration of ecological balance. Every species, from the smallest amphibian to the largest mammal, plays a role in the river's intricate web of life. Protecting these animals means safeguarding the forests, wetlands and grasslands that sustain them. Ecological restoration is at the heart of this mission. Along the Zambezi's banks, efforts are underway to rehabilitate degraded habitats, replanting native trees, restoring wetlands, and allowing floodplains to recover their natural rhythms. These actions help purify the water, prevent erosion, and provide shelter for countless species. The return of iconic species like the African fish eagle signals the success of these restoration projects. Their haunting calls echo across the river, a sign that the ecosystem is healing and that the food web is being rebuilt from the ground up. Advanced technology is now being harnessed to monitor the health of the river and its inhabitants. Satellite imagery, GPS tracking, and remote sensors provide real-time data on animal movements, water quality, and habitat changes, allowing conservationists to respond swiftly to emerging threats. Geographic information systems help map migration corridors and identify critical areas for restoration, ensuring that every intervention is targeted and effective. This blend of traditional ecological knowledge and cutting-edge technology is transforming conservation along the Zambezi, making it possible to protect more land more efficiently than ever before. The Zambezi's journey from its quiet source in the highlands to its grand delta on the Indian Ocean is a story of resilience and renewal. Each bend in the river, each oxbow lake, and each flooded forest is a chapter in the ongoing saga of life's persistence. Imagine the sun setting over the river, painting the sky in gold and crimson as a herd of elephants drinks peacefully at the water's edge, a scene that speaks to the harmony that is possible when nature is allowed to flourish. The future of the Zambezi depends on our commitment to ecological restoration, habitat protection, and the celebration of wildness. It is a future where the river's pulse remains strong, its waters run clear, and its wildlife thrives in abundance. By investing in science, restoration, and the protection of wild places, we can ensure that the Zambezi's wild journey through Africa's heart continues untamed, unbroken, and full of life for generations to come. Hidden beneath the canopy and weaving through the wide floodplains, the Zambezi's tributaries and wetlands form a vast, intricate network, quietly sustaining the heart of this mighty river. From the Lungwabungu and Kabompo in the west to the Luangwa and Kafue in the east, each tributary brings a unique pulse of life, feeding the Zambezi and shaping its ever-changing character. These smaller rivers and marshlands act as natural reservoirs, absorbing seasonal rains and slowly releasing water back into the main channel. They buffer the river from drought, temper floods, and create a patchwork of habitats that support a staggering diversity of life. In the wetlands, papyrus and reed beds sway gently in the breeze, filtering sediment and purifying the water as it flows downstream. Here, secretive creatures thrive. The African pygmy goose glides over lily-dotted pools while the rare Saitatunga antelope wades silently among the reeds, its hooves adapted for slippery submerged ground. Swarms of dragonflies hover above the water's surface, a sign of the wetland's health, and beneath the surface, shoals of tiny fish dart between submerged roots. The tributaries are nurseries for countless species. Young fish find shelter in the tangled margins, safe from predators until they are strong enough to venture into the main river. Amphibians, from reed frogs to the remarkable Goliath bullfrog, breed in the temporary pools left behind as the floodwaters recede. Migratory birds, traveling thousands of kilometers, rest and refuel in these watery sanctuaries, their calls filling the dawn and dusk. Each wetland and tributary is a microcosm, a self-contained world of interdependence. Their health is vital not only for the river's flow, but for the survival of the entire ecosystem. When these arteries remain unpolluted and undisturbed, they deliver nutrients, support wildlife, and ensure the Zambezi remains one of Africa's most vibrant river systems. As we look deeper into the Zambezi's hidden lifelines, we discover a quiet resilience, a reminder that the river's strength lies not only in its powerful main channel, but in the delicate web of tributaries and wetlands that sustain it. Protecting these vital habitats is essential for the river's future and for the countless species that call its waters home. Each year, as distant rains begin their journey from the highlands, the Zambezi's floodplains awaken to a rhythmic pulse. Water spills over the riverbanks, fanning out across vast expanses of grassland and woodland. This seasonal flooding is not a disaster, but a vital heartbeat, transforming the landscape into a shimmering mosaic of temporary lakes, channels, and islands. For the plants that blanket these floodplains, the rising waters are a signal to grow and thrive. Water lilies unfurl across the mirrored surface, while grasses and sedges shoot up, adapted to both wet and dry extremes. As floodwaters linger, they deposit silt and nutrients, enriching the soil for the coming dry season. Animal life follows this natural rhythm with remarkable precision. Herds of red lechwe antelope graze on the fresh green shoots, their hooves splayed to navigate the boggy ground. Elephants wade through the shallows, drawn by the promise of lush forage and cool relief from the heat. Hippos wallow in the deeper pools, their grunts echoing across the plains. Fish populations surge as the floodwaters connect isolated pools and channels, opening new breeding grounds and feeding opportunities. Birds arrive in spectacular numbers, herons and storks stalking the shallows, while fish eagles circle overhead, their calls piercing the dawn. Even the smallest creatures like frogs and insects flourish in the transformed landscape, their life cycles timed to the rise and fall of the water. As the flood recedes, it leaves behind a patchwork of pools and fertile land, ready to support another cycle of abundance. The Zambezi's floodplains are not merely shaped by water, they are defined by it. Sustained by the ancient dance of flood and drought in this ever-changing world, every living thing is attuned to the river's pulse, dependent on its annual gift of life. Beneath the surface and among the tangled reeds of the Zambezi, a secret world thrives, home to creatures found nowhere else on Earth. The Zambezi Basin shelters a remarkable array of rare and endemic species, each uniquely adapted to the river's shifting moods and seasonal floods. In the slow-moving backwaters, the Zambezi killifish darts through submerged grasses. This tiny fish has evolved to survive the annual dry down, laying drought-resistant eggs that remain dormant in the mud until the rains return. Nearby, the elusive Zambezi squeaker catfish uses its specialized fins to cling to rocks in fast-flowing channels, avoiding predators and searching for food. Among the wetlands, the shy, slaty egret, one of Africa's rarest birds, hunts for frogs and insects. Its slate-grey plumage blends perfectly with the flooded grasses, offering camouflage from both prey and predators. Overhead, the Boehm's bee-eater flashes emerald and gold as it swoops for insects, nesting in riverbank burrows carved above the floodline. The Zambezi's islands and riverbanks are also the last refuge for the endangered African skimmer, whose knife-thin bill is perfectly shaped to slice the water's surface in search of fish. In the tangled branches above the water, the samango monkey leaps between trees, its thick fur and dexterous hands evolved for life in the riverine forests. Even among reptiles, the Zambezi Basin shelters unique treasures. The Zambezi soft-shell turtle, with its leathery shell and snorkel-like nose, glides through the shallows, perfectly adapted to both aquatic and terrestrial life. And in the deeper pools, the mottled Zambezi bream displays a dazzling array of colors during the breeding season. Attracting mates in the clear floodwater, each of these species plays a vital ecological role, pollinating plants, controlling pests, or linking the river's web of life. Their presence is a testament to the power of evolution and to the Zambezi's ability to nurture life in all its diversity. But their future depends on the river's continued health and the delicate balance that has sustained them for millennia. Long before the first animals roamed its banks or the earliest humans gazed upon its waters, the Zambezi River began its journey through deep time. Over 180 million years ago, the land that would become southern Africa was a vast, shifting mosaic, split by tectonic forces and sculpted by the relentless power of water and wind. The Zambezi's story is written in stone. Ancient volcanic eruptions laid down layers of basalt, forming the high plateaus from which the river now tumbles. For millions of years, the river's path twisted and turned, carving deep gorges and leaving behind fossilized evidence of vanished worlds. As continents drifted and climates changed, the river's course shifted, sometimes flowing east, sometimes west, repeatedly redirected by the rising and falling of the land. During the ice ages, the Zambezi's flow waxed and waned with the advance and retreat of glaciers far to the south, feeding vast inland lakes and creating new channels. The mighty Victoria Falls, now the river's most iconic feature, was formed only about 100,000 years ago, a blink in geological time, when the river encountered a band of resistant basalt, forcing it to plunge over the edge and carve the dramatic chasm we see today. Over countless millennia, the Zambezi has shaped the landscapes around it, sculpting floodplains, nourishing forests, and creating the patchwork of wetlands and islands that define its course. Each bend and rapid tells a tale of ancient upheaval and patient erosion, of continents in motion and the timeless cycle of water. Today, the Zambezi is both a witness to the Earth's deep past and a force that continues to mold the land. Its ancient origins are etched into every rock and ripple, a living chronicle of the planet's ceaseless transformation. Beneath the mirror-like surface of the Zambezi, an intricate world unfolds. A teeming ecosystem where every organism plays a vital role in the river's balance. Here, sunlight filters through the water, igniting blooms of phytoplankton, the microscopic plants that form the base of the Zambezi's food web. Tiny zooplankton graze on these invisible forests, while small fish like the shimmering carpenter dart through the currents, feeding on both plants and plankton. Predators patrol these waters with silent precision. The sleek tigerfish, armed with razor-sharp teeth, stalks shoals of smaller fish, launching lightning-fast attacks. Catfish, some as large as a grown man, sift through the silty riverbed for crustaceans and insect larvae. Crocodiles, ancient masters of ambush, lurk along the banks, waiting for the perfect moment to strike at unwary prey. Amidst the reeds and floating lilies, amphibians and aquatic insects thrive, providing food for birds like the African fish eagle and the pied kingfisher. Even the hippos, massive and seemingly placid, shape their environment, grazing on river grasses by night and stirring up nutrients by day, enriching the water for countless other species. This delicate balance is maintained through countless interactions: predator and prey, plant and grazer, scavenger and decomposer. When the floodwaters rise, nutrients surge across the floodplains, triggering explosions of life. As the waters recede, isolated pools become refuges, sustaining fish and invertebrates until the river's pulse returns. The Zambezi's aquatic ecosystems are a living tapestry woven from millions of connections. Each species, from the smallest insect to the largest crocodile, is both hunter and hunted, participant and beneficiary in the river's eternal dance of survival. Here, life and death are in constant motion, ensuring the enduring vitality of Africa's great river. Across the vast Zambezi basin, a quiet transformation is unfolding. Once scarred floodplains now flourish with vibrant grasses as herds of antelope return to graze beneath the watchful gaze of the African fish eagle. In stretches where reeds had vanished, lush wetlands have been reborn, offering sanctuary to countless aquatic creatures. Waters once clouded by silt now run clearer, cradling new generations of fish, each one a testament to the resilience of this ecosystem. In the heart of the river, islands once empty now echo with the calls of returning bird life. Crocodiles glide through restored channels, reclaiming ancient nesting grounds. Hippos, undisturbed, wallow in deepened pools, their presence stirring life into the water and soil. Along hidden tributaries, amphibians and insects thrive amid fresh growth, signaling the revival of habitats lost to drought and degradation. Throughout the basin, nature's recovery is written in the footprints of returning wildlife and in the renewal of once silent forests. Each restored wetland, each revitalized stretch of river stands as a testament to the power of regeneration. Here, the Zambezi's lifeblood flows stronger, its web of life mended by unseen guardians, nature's own resilience and the enduring strength of the river's wild heart.